Hello folks, this is Tom Martin. This is my lottery strategy game, Decoding the Powerball guessing game. I'm picking my numbers to the drawing on June 8th, 2019. If you'd like to get my game Decoding the Powerball, then please email me at decodingpowerball@gmail.com. Thank you, and please subscribe. Okay, so the object of my game is for you to correctly eliminate groups of numbers. There are 69 white ball numbers in the Powerball Lottery. Only 5 numbers can come up as winners, so that means 64 numbers can't come up at all. So for me, I think it should be easier to pick the numbers that won't be coming up than the 5 that actually do. So to help me do that, I'm going to turn to the 5 strategies of my game. So strategy number 1, the game card color code. Okay, so if you've never seen my videos before, why I make them is to show you on how to use my game. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the game card. This is a format that I came up with that represents the 69 white ball numbers in the Powerball Lottery. I really don't have anything for the Powerball itself. My goal is to get all 5 white balls correct and win the $2 million prize with the Power Play option. Okay, so first things first is I'm going to go to the Powerball homepage. And the 5 white winning numbers that just came up were the 17, 23, 28, 34, and 38. Again, I really don't care about the red ball. Okay, so what I do is I take those 5 white winning numbers and I put it at the top of this list. And now I'm going to find out what colors they were. Okay, so you can see the 17 was orange, the 23 was green, the 28 was green, the 34 was red, and the 38 was purple. Okay, so I'm going to color these in. So again, the 17 was orange, the 23 and 28 were green, the 34 was red, and the 38 was purple. Okay, so now I'm going to count how many colors I have. I have two green, a red, orange, and purple for 4 colors total. Okay, so now I'm going to come up here. I'm going to make this 338 color code drawings I kept track of so far. And out of that 338 drawings, a 4 color combination has now come up 115 times. Okay, so what I want you to look at here is the 3 color combination. This has come up 181 drawings out of 338. So if you divide 181 into 338, you're going to see that a 3 color combination comes up more than half the time, okay? And to me, that's huge because long term, if I just keep on picking a 3 color combination, I know statistically I'm going to be correct more than half the time. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new game card. So I'm going to get rid of all these colors and start from scratch, okay? So my color code is right here. These are the red numbers, the orange, green, blue, and the rest are purple, okay? So what I did is I took the 69 white ball numbers, I divided it by 5 different colors, and that's 1 color for each of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers, okay? And that equals 13.8. So my goal is to get as close to as 13 or 14 numbers per color as possible, or a good representation of each color, okay? So again, I'm going to start with the last 3 drawings for red numbers, okay? They just came up, they're hot, okay? So the reason why I picked the last 3 drawings is because this will give me a maximum of 15 numbers, okay? So I'm going to start in with making the 17 red, then the 23, the 28, the 34, and the 38, and then the 6, 15, 34, which is already taken, the 45, 52, and then the last line is 3, 32, 34, which is already taken, 42, and 61. So again, I'm going to make these red. And now I'm going to count how many red numbers I have. So I have 3, and 3 is 6, and 3 is 9, and 4 is 13. So I'm going to make this 13 right here, okay? So up here it tells me how many colors I have for I have on the game card, okay? So what I'm going to do, just to speed things up, I'm going to scroll over here to the right. And this is the current game card for June 8th, 2019. You can see that there was 13 red numbers, turned out to be 14 orange, 16 green, 15 blue, and 11 purple numbers. Okay, so again, more than half the time, a 3-color combination comes up, okay? So that means more than half the time, 2 colors are not coming up. And that's what I want to focus on here. So again, the object of the game is to eliminate groups of numbers, all right? So you can see that all 5 colors do come up, okay? It's come up 12 times out of 338 drawings, okay? So it does come up, but it's very rare, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a prediction on what I think is not going to come up here, okay? So what I'm going to pick is I'm going to pick no green numbers, all right? And the reason why is you see, as I look at this, I just see a ton of green all the way down, okay? So I'm just trying to predict what the ebb and flow of things will be, all right? So green has come up 1, 2, 3, 4 drawings in a row, okay? Before that, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Before that, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? And then I had a long run of like 19 in a row, okay? So it's just come up a lot, and now I think, again, the ebb and flow of things is that I don't think any green numbers are going to come up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to block out these green numbers, okay? So just give me a second. There's 16 of them. Okay, so when I block out a number like this, this means that I'm not even going to consider this number when I'm picking what I think will be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm spending $3 on a Powerball ticket, which includes the power play. So in other words, I'm betting $3 that none of these green numbers will come up in the next drawing. Okay, so if I'm correct with my bet and none of these green numbers come up, then I'm one step closer to that $2 million prize. Okay, so moving on. The next strategy is strategy number 2, the individual numbers. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the individual numbers. Okay, so what I did is I took the 69 numbers and I divided it into 7 different groups. Okay, this is group number 1. It has the numbers of 1 through 9. This is the only one with 9 numbers to it. Okay. So what I do is you can see that the 17 came up. So the 17 is right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this orange. And I'm making it orange because the 17 is orange. Okay. And the 17 is orange because the color code said it was orange. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is write down how many groups it hit. Okay. So you can see 17's in its own group. The 23, 28's in a group, 34 and 38's in this group as well. So that's 3 groups, okay? So a 3 and a 4 come up a lot, okay? A 5 has been coming up fairly recent here as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to predict that another 3 is going to come right up here, okay? So we'll see what happens, all right? So let me reduce this down so you can see the whole card. Okay, so again, I broke things down into 7 different groups. Here's group number 1. Okay, it holds the numbers of 1 through 9. Then it's the teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. Okay, for 7 groups total. Okay, so again, there's only 5 white winning Powerball numbers. So I know that 2 of these groups cannot have a winning Powerball number to it. Okay, so the strategy is try to correctly guess which one of these groups will not have the winning Powerball number to it and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so as I look at this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to guess that no numbers of 1 through 9 are going to come up, okay, because it just had a run where it was 5, 10, 15 drawings in a row, and now I think it's going to miss a couple drawings, okay? So how you read this is that this big square right here, this is good for 5 drawings, okay? And the reason why I like to break it down into 5 is for a couple reasons. When I go back into the history of things, it's easier to count going 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on, okay? But my theory is that if there's a bunch of hits within this 5 drawings, then maybe there won't be so many hits in the next 5 drawings, or vice versa, okay? So again, I'm going to say that no numbers of 1 through 9 are going to come up, so I'm going to eliminate those numbers off of the game card. Okay, so one other way that you could use this as well is you could highlight just a certain number. You could go back down and see what colors have not come up, okay? And that's about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the game card, and I'm going to get rid of the numbers of 1 through 9. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 3, the 50-50 picks. Okay, so here's the 50-50 picks, okay? What I call the 50-50 picks. So basically what this is, again, there's 5 white winning Powerball numbers, okay? So there has to be a majority of either odd numbers or even numbers, or numbers to the high side or numbers to the low side, okay? So I like to correctly guess what the upcoming majority will be, okay? So first of all, I'm going to make this 383. Okay, and this basically goes back to, I kept track of 383 drawings, and this basically goes back to October 7th, 2015. That's when the Powerball Lottery went from 59 numbers to 69 numbers, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back to the game card and find out what the majority was. So it was odds, odds, evens, 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 okay? So 3 evens, 2 odds. I'm going to write that down, and I'm going to highlight the evens in blue here, make it stick out, okay? And now I'm going to make this 184. Okay, so out of 383 drawings, 184 drawings have been the majority of even numbers. 199 have been the majority of odd numbers, okay? So what I do is I like to break things down into 5, so it just shows me that majority. So this last 5 here, the majority was odds, okay? 3 drawings to 2. Before that, it was evens, odds, evens, odds, evens, odds, okay? So you can see that this is already evens, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to predict that since this is so far behind 184 to 199, I'm going to predict that this goes one more time for another evens, okay? So I think the majority of the numbers will be even numbers, okay? So I'm going to write that down here. Okay, so I'm going to go on to the next one. So this is high and low here. You can see that all the numbers in red are high, all the ones in blue are considered low, okay? So you can see the last 3 were low. I mean, the last 15 drawings, the majority have been low numbers, okay? So I'm going to predict that this jumps back over to high. I think there's going to be more numbers in this red area than the blue area. So I'm going to write that down. Okay, next is left and right. You can see that this is pretty close at 188 to 195, okay? So what I'm going to do is, since there's so many right here, okay, so many majority to the right side, I'm going to go ahead and predict that this is going to be the majority to the left side. Oops. Okay, and the last one, I have this red and blue area here, okay? I'm not sure what's going to go on here, so I'm just going to leave this one alone, okay? I don't have to pick at all of them, okay? So the more I pick at, actually the odds go way up, then I'm going to get something wrong, okay? So I'm going to leave this one alone. Okay, so here I do have something for the Powerball number, okay? There's 26 red numbers, all right? So if you're looking at this and you look at this column here, basically what I did is I took 26 numbers and divided it into 2, okay? So if you see a blue number, that means it's low, 1 to 13. If you see a red number, that means it's high, 14 to 26, okay? And in this column, if you see a red number, that means it's odds. If you see a blue one, that means it's evens, okay? So why I do this is now I just look at the colors, okay? So now I see that there's been 5 drawings in a row where it's all blue, okay? So I know eventually it's going to turn red at some point, and I'm going to guess that it's going to happen here, okay? So instead of looking at all 26 numbers, now I'm just looking at half the numbers, just the high numbers of 14 to 26, okay? And over here, what I'm going to do is, you know, I see a lot of blue, so I think that this is going to be red, okay? So I'm going to predict that the Powerball number would be a high odd number. Okay, so now I'm just going to look at the 15, 17, 19, 21, 23, and 25. Okay, so I'm just going to guess at those numbers instead of all 26. Okay, so that's how that works. So this green thing right here, this tells me that the Powerball repeated itself. You can see the 8 came up and then it repeated. Okay, so moving on to the next strategy. Strategy number 4, picking the numbers I hope will miss from group 1. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call my group 1 numbers. Okay, so basically what I did is I took the 69 numbers and I divided it into 4 different groups, and I put colors to these groups. Okay, so when the winning Powerball numbers land within these colored groups, I record where they land down here in the stats. Okay, so I'm going to do that right now. So again, the numbers were 17, 23, 28, 34, and 38. Okay, so again, it was the 17 here in red, the 23 in blue, the 28 in red, the 34 in orange, and the 38 in green. Okay, so basically I had 2 red, the 17 and 28. And then I had 1 blue, that 23. I had 1 orange, the 34, and I had 1 green, the 38. Okay, so when that happens, I call this a row. So if it's a hit, I color the background red for hot. And if it's a miss, like right here, I'll color the background blue for cold. Okay, so I'm going to make this 24 because this has now been 24 drawings where one of these blue numbers have come up. Okay, so the object of the game is to eliminate groups of numbers. Okay, so this last drawing here in option card number 3, now I have 15 of these option cards. Okay, and they all have the same colors of red, blue, orange, and green. Okay, it's just that the numbers that they represent are a little bit different from each other from each different option card. Okay, so you can see here that none of the winning Powerball numbers landed in this green area here. Okay, so the object of the game, the strategy is for this group 1 is try to correctly guess where these zeros are going to pop up. Now, if I could have correctly guessed that none of these green numbers were going to come up, I could have eliminated all these numbers and gave myself a much better chance at winning some kind of prize in the Powerball Lottery. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, again, I have 15 of these cards. I'll show you them real quick here. Okay, so my next guess is going to be option card number 6, no red numbers. Okay, so here's option card number 6. Now the reason why I'm taking no red is because there's been 20 drawings in a row where there's been a red number here. Okay, so I'm just going to guess that the ebb and flow of things is that this is going to be a 0. Okay, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to eliminate these red numbers off of my game card. So it's all the odd numbers. Now you can see that I have these numbers off here to the left, the 8, 19, 25, 53, and 58. Okay. So over here on my group 1 numbers, you can see that there's no numbers off here to the left. Okay. So what I call this is sharing the square. Okay. So the 25 shares the square with the 65. The 19 shares the square with the 67. The 8 shares the square with the 66, the 53 with the 69, and the 58 with the 68. Okay, so if I'm going to get rid of all these red numbers, I'm going to do it as a group. Okay, and that includes the 25 and the 19. All right, so basically this is how I grouped up numbers, and I don't think that any of these red will be coming up, so I get rid of all these red numbers, including the 25 and the 19. Okay, so here's the 19, the 25, and then I get rid of these numbers, this and this, all the odd numbers. Okay, so the reason why I'm doing this here is you can see that all these red are odd numbers, all the orange are odd, okay? All the blue and green are even. So I think there's going to be more even numbers than odd numbers, right? So that's why I'm going to get rid of that red. Also because I hit 20 drawings in a row as well, okay? So that's it for group 1. So what I'm going to do now, I'm sorry, I didn't make my first pick of option card number 1, no blue numbers. I'm going to go with this one right here because 24 drawings in a row, all right? The last streak was 17 drawings in a row, so it's gone over that by 7 drawings. So again, I'm going to guess that none of these blue numbers will be coming up. So I'll get rid of these. Okay, so now I'm off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 5, picking the numbers I hope will miss from group 2. Okay, so what you're looking at here is my group 2 numbers. Okay, so much like group 1 where I divided things into 4 different groups, here I divided things into 8 different groups. Okay, so it's just another way of grouping up numbers, all right? But with this, there's only 5 white winning Powerball numbers, okay? And there's 8 color groups here, okay? So the strategy is try to correctly guess what color group will not have the winning Powerball number to it and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to update this one. So I'm going to go back to the game card, and the winning numbers were 17, 23, 28, 34, and 38, okay? So I have 15 of these option cards as well, and they all have the same colors to it as far as red, blue, orange, green, purple, brown, gray, yellow, okay? Again, it's just the numbers that they represent are a little bit different from each other from each different option card. Okay, so I always like to try to read things left to right, okay? So the 17 came up, that's red. The 23 is gray. The 28 is green. The 34 is blue. And the 38 is brown. So I'm going to read it as red, blue, green, brown, gray. Okay? Red, blue, green, brown, gray. So down here, there was a red one, that's 17. A blue. There was no orange. There was that green. No winning purple numbers. One in that brown. One in the gray. And no winning Powerball numbers in the yellow. Okay? So again, I'm trying to guess where these zeros are going to pop up. Okay, so if I could have correctly guessed that none of these yellow numbers were going to come up, I could have eliminated all these yellow numbers and gave myself a much better chance at winning some kind of prize. Okay, so the next step is I'm going to count how many groups it hit. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to call this 5. Okay, so the majority of the numbers were over here to this left side, red, blue, and green. So I'm going to color this 5 red. So this tells me that the majority of the numbers were over here to the left side. Okay, so if I go back into the history of things and I say, gee, what was this 5? Look at this 5. I know that it's red, so I know that the majority of the numbers were over here. Okay, so again, what I want to do is correctly guess where this 0 is going to pop up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to guess that no purple numbers are going to come up. I think the 0 is going to be right here. Okay. So we'll see what happens, and I'm going to eliminate these purple numbers off of my game card. So I'll get rid of these. Again, the 69 shares the square with the 53, but it's already gone. Okay, so moving on. The next one I'm going to predict is this option card number 2. Okay, I'm going to guess that no red numbers are going to come up. So here's the red. And as I head down through, what I didn't tell you here is why this is blue and why this is red. Okay, so go back to option card number 1 here. Okay, so Again, I like to keep track of every 5 drawings because it shows me a majority of things, okay? So here you can see the majority is misses. There's 3 zeros there, okay? So when that happens, I color the background blue for cold. Now the next 5 down, you can see that the majority is hits. So when that happens, I color the background red for hot, okay? So we all know the lottery is random, and this is what random looks like, okay? So when I see something like this, where it's been really, really hot, well, I know it's going to turn cold eventually. I just have to correctly guess when that's going to happen, okay? So again, with this purple over here, you can see how hot it's been. So I'm going to say that it's going to have a couple of blue marks here. So I think this is going to be a 0, okay? So moving on to option card number 2, I think the 0 is going to be right here in the red area, okay? You can see that it's hit 5, 10, 13, 14, 15 drawings in a row. So now I think there's going to be a couple of zeros here, okay? So I'm going to say no red numbers. And that's the 1 to the 66. And you can see that there's nothing there, okay? So the thing about this, you know, I could go back and look for another 0, okay? But I already made one pick here, okay? And if I go for another pick with this option card number 2, my odds go way, way up, then I'm going to get it wrong, okay? So right now, the average is 4, okay? With all 15 option cards here, the average is a 4, so that means 4 of these groups are going to have a hit to it, okay? And 4 of these groups are going to have a miss to it. So right now, it's a 50-50 guess, okay, whether you're going to get it right or wrong, all right? So, again, you make one guess and it doesn't work out, move on to the next option card. That's how I design this, okay? So moving on to number 3, I'm going to go with no yellow numbers. I think the 0 will be right here. Okay, so we'll see what happens. And I'm going to get rid of the yellow, which is the 7 to the 31 and the 36 to the 60. So I'll get rid of those, okay? Moving on to option card number 4. I'm going to go with no red. So here's the red, and as I work my way down, you can see that things got really hot through here, so now I think the 0 is going to be right here, okay? So we'll see what happens, and I'm going to get rid of these red numbers, the 5 and the 33. Okay, so next, moving on to option card number 5. I'm going to go with no green. Okay, so here's the green right here. It's been pretty hot. I think the 0 will be right here. So I'm going to get rid of these green numbers right here off of the game card. Okay, so moving on. Number 6. I'm going to go with no red. So here's the red right here. You can see how hot this has been. And now I think the 0 is going to be right here. Okay, so we'll see what happens. And I'm going to get rid of these red numbers, the 3, 12, 67, 28, all the way down. So I'll get rid of those numbers. Okay, so moving on. Again, I have 15 of these option cards, so I'm on number 7. And I'm going to go with no gray. So as I work my way down, you see that thing's been kind of high here. It's kind of been 50-50. So I think the 0 is going to be right here. We'll see what happens. And I'm going to get rid of these gray, the 9, 2, 11, 4 all the way across. And there's nothing to get rid of. Okay, so going back, option card number 8. I'm going to pick no green. So as I work my way down, you can see that thing's been pretty hot through here. Okay, and again, I think the 0 will be right here. So we'll see what happens. And I'm going to get rid of the 8, 13, 24, 29 all the way down. I'll get rid of the 40. Okay, so moving on, option card number 9, I'm going to go with no brown. So there's the brown, and as I work my way down, see things got pretty hot through here, okay? Now I see blue mark, blue mark, blue mark, blue mark, blue mark. Now I think this is going to double up, so I think this one and the next one will probably have a 0 to it. So I think the 0 will be right here. So I'm going to get rid of the 920 and the 631. So I'll get rid of that 20. So hopefully that doesn't come up. Okay, so moving on to 10. I'm going to go with no yellow. You can see how hot this has been. Okay, I think the 0 is going to be right here. Okay, so we'll see what happens. So I'll get rid of the 2065, that pattern all the way around. So I'll get rid of that 57. Okay, so moving on, option card number 10. I think it's going to be red. So here's the red, and as I work my way down, see that thing's got pretty hot through here. So I think the 0 is going to be right here. We'll see what happens. So that's a 6, 17, 35, 56. I get rid of that 43. Hopefully that doesn't come up. Moving on to 12. I'm going to go with no purple. You can see it's been pretty hot through here, so I think the 0 is going to be right here. So that's the 6 to the 30 and the 34 to the 68. The 58 shares the square with the 68, so I'll get rid of that. Okay, so moving on to 13. I'm going to go with red. You can see how hot this has been, okay? So I think the 0 will be right here. We'll see what happens. And this is 65 and the 61. Okay, so moving on. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go with green. It's been back and forth, so still going to stick with it, and that's a 9 to the 3 and the 38 to the 48. And there's nothing there, okay? So I'm going to go to the last one. And I'm going to say no brown is going to come up. So here's the brown. So it's been kind of hot right through here, so I think the 0 will be right here. So it's the 5 and the 33. I'll get rid of that 42. Okay, so that leaves me with 6 numbers here. Okay, so now I have to make a guess on what's going to happen. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the individual numbers. Okay, because back here, I thought this 3 was going to double up. Okay, so you can see a bunch of singles before it tripled up here. Okay, so again, I think this 3 is going to double up. So as I go back here, I automatically want the 46, 47, and the 50 and 59, okay? Because here's two of those groups, and now I just need a third group, either the 10 or the 26, okay? So looking at this, you can see a 4 has come up in the last 4 drawings, and more than half the time, a 3-color combination comes up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with the 10, the 46, 47, 50, and 59. So I'm going to write that down. Okay, so these are the numbers that I'm going to go with. Okay, so I wanted more evens than odds, so I got 1, 2, 3 evens to make me do that. Okay, more to the high side, you can see that there's 4 numbers, and more to the left, the 10, 50, and 59. Okay, so that's how I use my game. Okay, so what are the odds that I made all the correct picks? Okay, well, I want to go over the odds for the grand prize. It's 5 white balls and a red ball. Okay. The odds of that are 1 in 292 million. Okay. My goal is to get all 5 white balls correct. If I get the red ball with it, then bonus. Okay. But to do that, the odds are 1 in almost 11.5 million. Okay. A little more than 11.5. A nice prize would be 4 white balls and a red ball that pays 50,000 plus the power play. If you play it, the odds of that are just about 1 in a million. More realistic odds is getting 4 white balls correct. Okay, that pays $100. The odds of that are 1 in 14,000. And 3 white balls, pays $7. Okay, the odds of that are 1 in 701. So, reducing the numbers hopefully reduces the odds for yourself that you're going to win some kind of prize. So I just want to go over a budget. You can see that the odds are really, really steep. So if you spend $3 per drawing, there's 2 drawings per week, you would spend $312 per year on the lottery. Okay. So in closing, I want to thank you for watching. Okay. If you would like to support my channel, then please go to my Patreon page at www.patreon.com/Decoding the Powerball. Okay. And as always, I want to wish you the best of luck with your picks.